Hi everyone, this is Men's here playing the Tier 8 Premium Medium Tank for the Chinese branch, the T-34-3. Now this tank is a lot similar to the T-34-2, however it only has the 120mm or 22mm D25TA gun, which very high alpha, kind of low penetration, rate of fire, and poor accuracy and aiming time. Now the standard T-34-2 also has this gun, however it has a lower rate of fire than the premium tank since it's not its top gun. Now the T-34-2, which is the standard tank, has a 100mm gun. It's more accurate, less damage per shot, but it has better penetration, rate of fire, accuracy, basically everything else. So very different tanks as far as the gun goes. This tank plays more like a light heavy tank where you're going to want to get in, get your shot, and then cover your reload by either running around the enemy so he can't shoot you quick or pulling behind cover and zipping away. Now this tank also has a decent amount of armor, has a little bit better armor overall than the T-34-2. However, its armor, it's not as good as some other medium tanks for the Chinese and Russian lines that have similar tanks, but it's still enough to bounce some tier 8 shots and poorly aimed tier 9 shots. Not on your hull though, you won't really bounce any shots on that unless if it's highly angled. So this tank only has 3 degrees of gun depression, which if you've played Chinese tanks, you know that they have very large guns and very small turrets, which hand in hand goes with very low gun depression, and it makes fighting on hilly terrain very difficult, if not impossible. So I'm going to head to the hill, only because the times when I haven't gone to the hill, my team just gets annihilated, and it's kind of pointless being down here and not being able to help at times. Now mobility wise, it's not the fastest medium due to the large gun, kind of weak engine, and the weight of it. However, it still gets around alright, but going up hills you will be very noticeably slower than its T-34-2 peer, since that has a little bit better mobility overall. As you see here. Oh god damn it, person, you just ran right into me, you fucking idiot. So aside from that person crashing into me, and now I'm gonna have to pay his repair bill, this thing, you see, it doesn't go very fast up the hill. Granted, it started from 0, but for a medium tank it is a slight negative. And as you see, just so I can show you the gun depression, this gun doesn't exactly stick down very much at all, so you won't be fighting on hills very often. So since your AP round only has 175mm penetration, you really have to take that into account because you're not going to be able to penetrate a lot of things that you come across from the front. You really have to flank them or switch over to heat, which is a lot more expensive. Okay, I should have angled. Okay, alright person. You gonna come out here and help me, or are you just gonna hide behind the wall? Curious as to see if somebody tries to... Okay, so I'm trying to angle here, and this freaking idiot just ran into me again. Okay, so what the hell? Let's pop out here, take that guy out. Let's just keep the ball rolling. Okay, I got lucky with that with my poor accuracy. However, we should be able to easily get behind them now. Messed that up though. should have straightened a little bit more out so he couldn't hit me. Need to keep an eye on this KB3. I would like to not get shot here and die. Just take one more shot and move back. And of course I get taken out by the TD back here, which is a little bit my fault, but what can you do? Either I was going to move up and get shot, or move back and get shot, so I was trying my best to stay alive. But as you can see, the gun doesn't point down very much, which is its main flaw. And the penetration, while it isn't high for tier 8, it's enough to damage most tanks you're facing, especially since you can flank them a lot easier than say IS-6 that has very similar penetration, pretty much the same gun in a lot of ways. So you do have a better time at getting around your low penetration than the premium heavy tanks that use a very similar 122mm gun than you. Be curious as to why the enemy is still pushing south and there's only one of them on cap when the flag is above them, and pushing down south isn't exactly going to help them out as much as they think it is. Okay, IS-6, are you gonna shoot him? There you go, just ram into him. Now, as you see, the IS-6 is blocking a lot of shots here. The T-34-3, its armor on the front of its turret is very good against a lot of the tanks you're going to be facing. Now, well-aimed shots will still go through the weak spots on the turret, and your hull's not strong enough to bounce things outright. You really have to get a good angle on it. So while you do have enough armor to bully tier 7s and 6s, you really have to be careful because unlike, say, an IS-6, even though it's a heavy tank, a little bit different, you're not going to be able to rely on your armor to actually soak up some damage for you. So overall, not a terrible match. I did the second most amount of damage on my team, second most in the match as well, 2,030 damage, destroyed one tank, just under 800 experience, not much else. As far as credit goes, made decent amount of credits. This tank does make a lot of credits because it's able to do a lot of damage very quickly. However, you do have to limit your usage of heat shells because they cost roughly 5,600 credits, I believe, compared to around 1,000 for your AP. So this map, a lot of times for mediums, some TDs, I like to go north because there's there's less enemies up there, and it's easier for me to kind of work my way through without being swarmed. However, in this tank, with the 3 degrees of gun depression, I'm going to be sticking to the city part, just because it's a lot easier to work with this thing on flat areas. You're going to be fighting yourself more so than the enemy if you go somewhere where there's a lot of hilly terrain. Now, the only problem with fighting in cities is, yes, I can hide behind cover to cover my long reload. However, I'm going to be fighting against a lot of enemies with their frontal hull armor facing me, which a few tanks on that team will be difficult for me to penetrate even with a heat shell. It's just something that you kind of have to pick your poison in this tank. Do you want to fight yourself on hills, or do you want to fight yourself against enemy armor to me, I'd rather be able to hit enemies than basically not being able to actually point my gun at them. I'd rather take the chance at me bouncing than that. So I'll take that shot. He has a faster reload, so I'm just going to back up. There's that firefly. Don't think I'll be able to actually hit him. However, with him moving up, there's a very good chance that he's going to try to come my way. Let's get back over here, see if I can't get this STA. I'm gonna wait for him to back up. Of course, he has two friendly tanks behind him with pretty big guns. Now, one of them just fired. I hope it was the prototype. We shall see. But now I'm tracked. Hopefully I can repair. Our E-25 behind us is having trouble, so we can go help him. Hello, E-20 or E-2, not E-25. Should be able to get another shot on him, but I'm gonna wait for this TD to come around. Hopefully he's not stupid enough to fight. Crap, I just bounced off of him. Lose a big chunk of my health there. Should be able to pop over before being shot by that TD again. Just help get this E2 out. Wherever he went. That Panther M10. Just trying to prevent myself from being flanked without letting. Okay, my team's gonna get flanked back there now. That 110. Don't want him to be taken out very easily. It's kind of my fault. I should have stuck on that corner. Should be able to get this guy though before he escapes. He's got that guy. Now to go deal with this Panther. Just gotta be careful. Rounding this corner here. Don't want to get stuck out there, because there's quite a few enemies that way. Should be a T-69 right there. Fuck. I'm like, there's a prototype coming behind me that I didn't have enough time to actually react. As you can see, this tank, pretty good mobility, allow you to move around easily. As long as if you don't climb a ton of hills, you'll be able to get everywhere where you're needed quick enough and on time. However, armor, it's okay against low tiers, but as you see, all the tier 8s and that TD had no trouble dealing with me. And your gun, it's basically very good at under 100 meters. However, over that range, you're going to have a hard time penetrating most of your shots, especially if you're using AP. but you want to use more AP than heat because heat shells are negated by space armor very easily, and also they're very expensive to use. So let's look over at our AMX here. But even though I died, I'm more likely not going to lose this match. I was still able to do a lot of damage before I was taken out, and I probably could have taken a few more turns to help, say, the 112 out and other tanks. I was just a little bit confused at times. I haven't played this map very often, so I didn't exactly know where the roads ended and began when I was getting turned around a little bit. Pretty sure that might be the T-28 finally making it there. Yep, T-28. Unfortunate because that thing, they're not going to be able to damage him. Gotta aim a little bit more. There you go. Kind of funny that he's actually able to push him. Yeah, they are pretty similar in size. I'm pretty sure the Super Pershing weighs heavier or weighs more than him. Ooh, he actually missed. He's probably... he might get flanked, but I'm not too sure. The enemy should have been here by now. Yeah, kind of curious as to where that Firefly went. He must be pretty far. He's probably right over there. But in the end, we didn't really stand much a chance at the end. The enemy outnumbered us and outgunned us. So not a bad match. Did 2,707 damage, most of my team. Second in the match to that T-69 on the enemy team. Didn't really soak up any damage or spot. And I made an okay amount of credits. But as you see, my ammo cost was kind of high because I did use a few heat shells, which are a lot more expensive than AP. But overall, this tank's pretty solid in my opinion, especially if you have a Chinese medium tank crew to throw into it. Pretty much, if you don't really like slower heavy tanks, then this would be a better option for a tier 8 premium because it does have that big gun. Armor's okay against your peers and lower tier tanks. However, against tier 8 heavy tanks, TDs, and tier 9 tanks, you will struggle a little bit with your armor. And the main things is accuracy, your penetration, aiming time, and your gun depression. But they're all things that you can work around, and it still churns out a pretty good profit, and it's definitely nice for someone who likes more mobile tanks and mediums rather than a heavy tank or a TD for a tier 8 premium. So anyway, thanks for watching my video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and check out my website, wotguru.com.